Welcome everyone back to the Weather Bulletin on Mr. Tien channel. And today, what I'm about to say is not light stuff. Because if you're thinking, just rain and wind, right? You need to listen very carefully from this moment on. The latest data from real-time radar, the weather warnings that have just been issued, are showing one thing very clearly. The weather is sliding into an extremely unstable, dangerous phase. If you think winter weather in the UK is simply rain, wind, and a bit of chill, then stop right here. Because there are moments when winter doesn't knock on the door, it kicks the door wide open and storms in. In just a few days, the weather can flip from mild and damp to bitterly cold. Icy roads, paralyzed transport, school closures, healthcare systems under strain. And the scariest part? The culprit isn't on the ground. It's not in the clouds you can see. It's tens of kilometers above our heads. Its name is Sudden Stratospheric Warming, SSW. And right now, if you're looking up at that gray sky and wondering, why does the weather feel so off lately? You are definitely not alone. This weekend, weather across the United Kingdom is entering a clearly unstable phase, with thick cloud cover dominating most of the day, scattered rain, and signals pointing to a very uncomfortable new week ahead. Oh! Sunday morning, clouds, rain, and warnings that refuse to let go. Starting early this morning, Northern Ireland and Scotland are still under yellow rain warnings. This is a clear reminder that the moist weather system has not fully moved away yet. However, there is a small silver lining, especially for Northern Ireland. The main bands of rain are gradually shifting northward, and as that happens, some areas may briefly catch rare clearer spells during the afternoon. Not many, not for long, but just enough for people to sigh. Okay, the sky hasn't completely abandoned us. Wow, Scotland. Rain lingers and snow refuses to leave there. And Scotland? Let's be honest, still not great. Showers will continue through the day, and over higher ground, wintry showers and snow remain in the picture. This tells us that cold air is still holding firm at higher levels, even if temperatures near the surface aren't extreme. This is classic half-winter, half-spring weather. Not cold enough for deep snow cover, but cold and damp enough to make everything wet, slippery, and gloomy. England and Wales, a Sunday painted grey from start to finish. Moving across the rest of England and Wales, the weather story doesn't change much. Clouds, clouds, and more clouds. Sunday will be dominated by thick cloud cover almost all day, leaving sunshine, if it appears at all, weak and purely symbolic. A band of rain persists across South Wales, while Devon and Cornwall are among the few places that may glimpse slightly brighter skies. But don't get your hopes up. This isn't bright sunshine, just skies that are a little less miserable. Temperatures, not freezing, but far from comfortable. If you're waiting for a burst of warmth, sorry, not yet. Temperatures today remain seasonal, generally around 5 to 7 degrees Celsius. In the southwest, helped by slightly warmer air, values may reach 8 to 9 degrees Celsius, with some spots approaching 10 degrees Celsius. It doesn't sound too bad on paper, but add thick cloud, high humidity, and a light breeze, and outdoors still feels damp, heavy, and draining. Evening and night, rain eases, but clouds stay put. As night falls, rainfall across Wales and southern England will gradually ease and become more scattered. Good news? Yes, but only partially. Because cloud cover remains extensive. Over higher ground, clouds are thick enough to bring drizzle and light rain. Scotland continues its familiar story, scattered wintry showers, especially over the highlands. Frost? Possible, but not widespread. Thanks to the blanket of cloud acting like insulation, overnight temperatures won't drop dramatically. Most areas will hover in the low single digits, see limited frost risk. Devon, where skies may clear more, could see isolated pockets of frost, but overall this will not be a severe cold night. Monday, a gray and soggy start to the working week. As the new working week begins, conditions don't get any easier. A fresh band of rain is moving in from the west. By midday Monday, rain reaches southwest England and Northern Ireland. These areas will be very wet during the first half of the day. Meanwhile, most of England and Wales stay dry, but cloudy. Eastern Scotland continues with persistent rain. Early week temperatures, slightly milder but only on paper. Under thick cloud, daytime temperatures sit around 5 to 6 degrees Celsius. Thanks to warmer air from the southwest, Cornwall could reach 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. But the real-world feel? Still dull, damp, and lifeless. The bigger picture. A strengthening low-pressure system, strong winds ahead, and this is where concern really ramps up. Looking further ahead, forecast models show a strong low-pressure system developing from the southwest, rapid intensification, strong to potentially damaging winds, especially along coastal areas. We've already seen 2 named storms affect southern England, and now yellow weather warnings have been issued for Tuesday, covering southwest England, Wales, parts of Northern Ireland. This is a clear signal that unsettled weather is far from over and could escalate further. So, to sum it all up, weekend, cloudy, scattered rain, seasonal temperatures, early week, gray, damp, rain returning in the west, midweek, increasing risk of strong winds as low pressure deepens. Keep a close eye on updates, especially if you live in western or coastal areas. If you found this useful, don't forget to follow, share, and turn on notifications, because next week's weather still has a lot more to say. If you think winter weather in the UK is simply rain, wind, and a bit of chill, then stop right here. Because there are moments when winter doesn't knock on the door, it kicks it wide open and storms in. A weather world no one can see. To understand why SSW is so dangerous, we have to go higher than all the everyday weather forecasts. Earth's atmosphere is not chaos. It is divided into clearly defined layers. The troposphere, from the ground up to about 10 kilometers. This is where rain falls, snow falls, storms roar. This is where we live and suffer the consequences. The stratosphere, from 10 to 50 kilometers, home to the ozone layer, and also where SSW occurs. Above that are the mesosphere and thermosphere, but today the danger lies in the stratosphere. Normally the stratosphere is very calm. No storms, no rain, no chaos. But in winter over the Arctic, something terrifying forms. The polar vortex, guardian of Earth's cold. In winter, the Arctic tilts away from the sun. Light disappears. Darkness stretches on. Air high above cools to as low as minus 80 degrees Celsius. The enormous temperature difference between icy air over the pole and warmer air at mid-latitudes creates a gigantic wind machine. This is the polar night jet, fierce westerly winds circling the Arctic, forming the polar vortex. Imagine a massive spinning top holding the coldest air on the planet, locking it in the far north. When the polar vortex is strong, the UK usually gets milder winters, more rain, steady westerly winds bringing Atlantic storms, but when the polar vortex weakens, everything collapses. Rossby waves, the waves that break atmospheric order. In the troposphere below, the atmosphere is far from calm. It is full of Rossby waves, giant planetary waves stretching thousands of kilometers. They are generated by Earth's rotation, mountain ranges, land-sea contrasts, large-scale weather patterns. Normally, these waves gently bend the airflow, but when they become strong enough, they shoot straight up into the stratosphere. SSW, the moment the atmosphere breaks. As Rossby waves rise into thinner air, they amplify and then break, like ocean waves smashing into the shore and exploding. This breaking creates massive drag, slowing the westerly winds of the polar vortex. If strong enough, the polar vortex weakens or even reverses direction now. Air begins to converge over the pole, and when air converges, it sinks. The sinking air compresses, and stratospheric temperatures spike, rising by up to 50 degrees Celsius in just a few days, one of the most violent temperature changes in nature. This is sudden stratospheric warming, SSW. When the polar vortex is torn apart, SSW comes in 2 main scenarios. Displacement event. The polar vortex is shoved away from the Arctic, weakens, and gradually decays. Split event. The polar vortex breaks in 2. 2 cold cores wander across the northern hemisphere. Both are extremely dangerous. The lag effect. The cold comes later. SSW does not cause cold immediately, and that's what makes it terrifying. Over 2 to 6 weeks, the disruption propagates downward into the troposphere. Westerly winds weaken. The jet stream, the high-speed airflow, becomes bent, slowed, and distorted. And then, blocking, high pressure forms. Huge high-pressure systems park themselves over Greenland or Scandinavia. They act like traffic accidents in the atmosphere, blocking Atlantic storms completely. The result? The UK loses its heat source and instead gets easterly winds from Siberia, northerly winds straight from the Arctic, dry cold, deep cold. Deadly cold history has warned us before 2009. A strong split SSW. Europe froze. The UK was buried in snow throughout February. 2013, a prolonged displacement SSW. Cold lingered from January all the way to Easter. 2018, the beast from the east. After an early February SSW, heavy snow, violent easterly winds, plunging temperatures. One of the most dangerous weather events in modern UK history. Can we predict it? Yes, but not perfectly. Modern models can detect SSW 10 to 14 days ahead, but predicting surface impacts remains uncertain. Timing, intensity, duration, all remain question marks. Climate change, the risk amplifier. Arctic sea ice is shrinking, snow cover is changing, wave activity is strengthening. SSW events may become more frequent and more intense. For the UK, more unpredictable winters, alternating storms, and sudden cold. In conclusion, SSW is a brutal reminder that our weather is not decided only by what we can see, but by colossal battles taking place far above our heads. If you found this analysis useful, follow, share, and stay alert, because winter is never just winter. And today, what I am about to say is anything but gentle. Because if you are thinking, oh, it's just rain and wind, you need to listen very carefully from this moment on. A massive blocking system in the north, the source of all the trouble. Over the past 2 weeks, we have repeatedly talked about a huge atmospheric blocking system to the north. At first, everyone thought it could drag in deep cold, possibly even a truly severe winter outbreak. But no, instead, what it has created is dangerous in a completely different way. Cold? Yes. Snow? Yes. But mainly in high ground and northern areas. But the biggest threat is rain, wind, and slow-moving low pressure. When the jet stream is crushed, the UK falls into a weather pit. The jet stream, the force that normally pushes weather quickly from west to east, has been forced southward. And what does that mean? We are sitting inside a massive atmospheric trough. The weather goes nowhere. Rain falls, then falls again, and then falls some more. To the west, huge spiraling rain bands, moving as slowly as a snail, keep rotating, dumping rain and refusing to disappear. Stationary low pressure, the most dangerous kind of weather. Take a look at this low pressure system. It has been parked near Wales and southwest England for over 36 hours, almost not moving at all, and it continues to unleash torrential rain, gusty winds, extreme conditions. This is not the kind of storm that sweeps through quickly. This is the kind of weather that kills through persistence. Ground becomes saturated, rivers rise, the risk of flash flooding, landslides, isolation increases hour by hour. Snow, yes, but don't be misled. Let's be honest, 80 to 90% of people watching this video will mostly see rain. There is snow, but mainly on hills and mountains. In the North Scotland, high ground of Wales and northern England. Models like UKV show rain, sleet, snow, a chaotic picture that is extremely difficult to forecast precisely. But do not make this mistake. Snow is not the only threat. Prolonged heavy rain plus low temperatures plus strong winds equals extremely dangerous. The cold air mass very close, but not breaking through. If you look at the temperature map at 2 p.m., north and east, clearly colder. Elsewhere, relatively mild. But just a few hundred kilometers to the east over the Netherlands, Germany, Central and Eastern Europe, a brutal cold air mass is in control. We once thought, within 48 hours, bitter easterly winds would surge in. But no, this cold mass has slid northward, skimming the coastline, only brushing us slightly. And it is this near miss that makes things dangerous. Weather warnings, thick as a spider's web. Right now, rain warnings across southwest England. Northern Ireland, heavy rain from the remnants of Storm Ingrid. Eastern Scotland, heavy rain with ground already saturated. And that's not all. Monday into Tuesday, a new storm could be named 24 hours of continuous rain, 25 to 75 millimeters of rainfall, with even more in the worst-hit areas. These regions are being repeatedly water-bombed. The risk of serious flooding, very high. The most dangerous scenario. Heavy snow from evaporative cooling. As the next low-pressure system moves in, residual cold air, heavy rainfall, strong evaporative cooling. Rain could turn to snow very quickly. and because the system moves extremely slowly, could last 24 to 48 hours. A very large amount of snow could fall over higher ground, roads blocked, power lost, communities cut off. Temperatures not extremely low, but very dangerous. Today, 7 to 8 degrees, Sunday, 6 to 8 degrees. Monday, morning 1 to 3 degrees Celsius, daytime only 3 to 4 degrees Celsius. With heavy rain, the real field temperature is much lower. Risk of hypothermia is very high. Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 to 5 degrees Celsius, morning frost, snow mixed with rain. Early February, the cold could return. Longer term, GFS, GM, ECMWF are all attempting to rebuild the northern bloc. If successful, bitter easterly, northeasterly winds. Snow could spread into lowland areas? Not certain, but the risk is increasing. Final conclusion. Do not be complacent. Next week, very heavy rain, strong winds, cold, localized snow, serious risk to life. Monitor warnings closely. Avoid unnecessary travel. Do not underestimate prolonged cold rain. If you find this analysis useful, follow, share, and stay alert. Next week's weather is not normal, and a small mistake could come at a very high price.